Alright, hey folks, I got another guitar lesson here for you today that I've been thinking about and kind of jamming on for the past couple of weeks. This is a chord progression that you'll hear a lot in old ragtime kind of acoustic blues, especially from the early 20th century, first half of the 20th century. If you listen to guys like Blind Willie McTell and Blind Blake and Blind Boy Fuller, you'll hear this exact chord progression. Also, it must be pretty similar to Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie, because every time I play it, almost every time, somebody thinks I'm playing that. So if you want to learn that song, similar to this. So anyways, let me go ahead and dig into it. We're going to be in the key of C, and we have two basic sections, an A section and a B section. And the A section is just a 1-6-2-5. So we're going to use our 1 chord, C major, and then 6 chord dominant 7, A7, 2 chord dominant 7, D7. A lot of times I'm grabbing this F sharp in the bass, and then a G7 or a G major for the 5 chord. So the first A section does a whole measure of C, a whole measure of A7, and then splits up D7 to G7, then back to C. It sounds like this. And then the second A section does just a little different. C, A7 for a whole measure, D7 for a whole measure, G major for a whole measure. So 2 variations on the A section. And then we go to a B section, starts on C as well. Whole measure of C, a whole measure of C7, a whole measure of F, and then we got an F sharp diminished chord. Which looks like that. If you don't know it, you can Google it, or if you don't know any of these chord shapes, go to looknohands.com. It's a neat website that I use to find out chord shapes if I'm teaching lessons or whatever. And just a little side note here about this F sharp dominant 7, is kind of really the same chord as A dominant 7. I mean, dominant 7, diminished, sorry. F sharp diminished, same as A diminished, C diminished, D sharp or E flat diminished. So when I'm improvising here in a minute, you'll see me use, those chords kind of interchangeably. They have the same notes, function the same way. So that's our B section. C major, C7, F major, F sharp diminished. And then we go back to the first way that we played the A section. C, A7, and then that ending. So a half measure on D7, a half a measure on G7, and back to C for a measure. And that's kind of the chord progression. Just repeats over and over, A, A, B, A. So let me play through it, and this time I'm just going to strum with my right hand. I'm just going to kind of hit a bass note and do some strumming, keeping this hand really simple so you can hear what the chord progression sounds like. Like that. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail with my right hand. I've got other lessons for finger picking if you want to check those out. But I will make kind of a note about chords. I'm going to play through the progression a few times, and the more different voicings that you know for each of these chords, for instance C major, the more C major voicings you know, the more interesting you'll be able to kind of keep your tune going. Is if you're playing a song like this. So for instance with C major, I'm thinking of that chord shape, and then kind of a little bar chord there, the C major. Here's one that I use a lot for this kind of a song. It's a C chord with an E in the bass. That kind of a C chord, kind of looks like F down here with my thumb wrapped around. So those are the main C chords I'm going to use. So just, you know, kind of maybe take a minute to learn a bunch of different voicings for each of these chords, and you can put something together that sounds like this.